maintains the zero drop, so that means there is no heel rise from heel to toe that Altra is known for. That is kind of one of their hallmarks of their design. As you can see, it has a very wide toe box. Altra is one of the few companies that is giving function over fashion when it comes to toe boxes. So as you can see, it's very square, which is, my toes tend to be this shape, not pointy like some other shoe companies are still managing to do. Even though they're showing an anatomic last, they still like to add some point to the toe box. I don't quite understand why, but I guess maybe it's just a fashion thing. The sole on these things is amazing. I mean, what I really like about this sole is that the lugs are deep. The lugs are widely spaced, which means they don't get crap stuck in between them. The rubber sole is relatively thin, which means that it's not going to add too much to the weight of the shoe. Speaking of weight, these shoes are a men's size 9 and they weigh 11 ounces or 313 grams. That's not exactly light when it comes to a shoe. However, I'm not so concerned about weight when I'm getting something that's rugged for trail use. Sometimes light equates to less durable, and so for me, it really depends on the other properties of the shoe. An interesting thing that Altra has done here is they've put on this rubber tail on the back of the shoe. I don't know that I think it's more of just a funky fashion thing. I mean, they say it might add a little extra grip on the downhills, but I haven't really noticed anything either way. If you really don't like it and you're like a weight weenie, you can take a knife and cut that off. So the shoe does have an insole, and it doesn't really have any structure to it. It's just a thin, I think it's like about 5 millimeters thick. Adds a little extra cushioning and takes up a little extra volume in the shoe if you have a smaller foot. In terms of sizing, I've found that the Lone Peak is quite true to size. These are actually, as I said before, a men's 9, and I find that to be a little bit small for me. I think a 9.5 would have been better, and that's generally the size I would take in another shoe like a New Balance. For the stack height, from with the insole in, is 22.5 millimeters. That is just shy of an inch. Without this insole, it's 17.5 millimeters. When I first got these shoes, one of the things I did was, and one of the things I was most interested in knowing, was how flexible the soles were. As you can see here, they offer some flexibility, and if I roll them up this way, they don't, I mean, they roll a bit, but I was a little bit skeptical. I like to have ground feel. There's a fine line to walk between good ground feel and rock protection. When I put these on at home, they felt a little stiff. But when I took them on the trail, actually, once you have your weight on them and you're walking on rugged terrain, rocks, roots, that kind of thing, they actually offer a decent amount of flexibility. It wasn't so bad actually, and so I was surprised in that regard. So flexibility wise, I think they're pretty close to, if I were to compare them to another shoe that I've tried, they're probably similar in flexibility to the New Balance MT110 that I recently reviewed, and another shoe that I am in the process of reviewing from Innovate, the Terrafly. They're similar to that as well. It's got a nice abrasion resistant bumper on the toe and on the side, on the inside and the outside of the shoe. If you're going to be taking this on a lot of rugged rocks, my suggestion to people is to often take shoe goo or something and put it over the stitching here so that you don't raise off the stitching and have your shoe fall apart prematurely. The mesh uppers are very comfortable and they dry quick. Another feature I really like about these shoes is you notice the space between the sides of the opening here where the laces go is really wide. I like that because it means that you can wear the shoe with varying thicknesses of socks or without socks, and you have a lot of room to snug down the laces. Some shoes, this gap is actually quite narrow, and so it makes it more difficult to vary the amount of this. If you tighten them down really tight, you actually can end up with these being really close together. You don't have as much room. So I actually really like how wide this opening is here. I think Altra has done a good job with this shoe in many regards. It's got a great toe box, great last, zero drop, no internal structure, nice quick drying mesh uppers, great sole, great grip. I only wish that they made it thinner. I'd like to see a shoe like this with less meat under the foot to offer a bit more ground feel. That would be the only thing I would change. Otherwise, I think it's a great shoe.